David Lang's String of Pearls is a marimba solo that was written several years ago for a whole consortium of people. It was headed up by Tom Burrett at UT Austin, and I was among the people who also participated in getting this piece written. It's an enormously challenging piece. Technically, certainly, it's one of the hardest pieces I've ever played. But on many other levels, too, David is a very courageous composer and is willing to try some things that I think would maybe scare some other people. So what he did in this piece is he wrote this incredibly virtuosic and difficult piece without any musical expression marks at all. There are no dynamics indicated, there are no phrases indicated. There's a tempo and a lot of notes, and that's it. And I asked him about this because this is kind of an unusual thing to do. Actually, in some ways, it's a little like playing Bach or some music that was older before people were getting really involved in writing lots of details into scores, and where there's a big improvised tradition in music making, as there still really was in Bach's time. When I asked David about it, he said, you know, I just thought it would be really interesting to see how all of these different people, what they would do with the piece if I didn't give them too many instructions about how to play it. So it could be a piece that you could play incredibly quietly with very soft mallets. You could play it in a really bombastic way with really hard mallets and really go for it the whole time. It has evolved over the past few years for me, the way that I play it. And I find my own personality getting more and more involved in the interpretation of the piece. And I think David means for that to happen. And I played it for him recently, and he was commenting on the way that I played it. And first thing he said is that he liked it very much, which was cool. But he said, you know, there were some things in there that I hadn't imagined. And that was part of the point of what I was doing. So for me, because there's so much going on in the piece, I really like to think of myself as if I'm an improviser and coming up with all this stuff on the spot. And I really try to let the moment kind of take me somewhere with the piece, because I've memorized notes, but I haven't memorized a certain shape or musical expression. I find that to be really interesting and freeing. Of course, I have to play all the notes that are on the page. I can't actually improvise, but I like to pretend that I'm a really great improviser, which I'm not really. But I like to pretend that I am, and that that's what's happening, and that I'm really getting into the piece. So I hope you enjoy the performance.